Aside from being the capital of the Confederacy, Virginia's pretty great. But sometimes it feels like its population likes to use their freedom of speech a little too much. For example, last year during the election between President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, I saw two houses having a lawn sign-off on opposite sides of the street, where they both progressively put more and more signs for either candidate in both of their front yards. Or the time when, on the way to a friend's house, I just saw a gigantic Confederate flag over a Confederate meeting place? I didn't even know those things existed, and I swear you could have seen the flag from miles away. I say all that to say, Virginia likes to express itself, but probably the most common instance of this comes on the road. Whenever I'm driving down the street, I'll, for some reason, see like 10 cars with custom license plates on the road, and I'll just think to myself, why? What could have motivated all these people to go into the DMV and say, yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit more money so I can express my opinions a little bit more? And so today, I seek to answer this question. Why does Virginia love to express itself? And along the way, we'll figure out why custom license plates are, more common too. But that's an afterthought. That's definitely not the title and thumbnail of the video. So there are a couple reasons why custom license plates are a lot more common in Virginia. One big reason is that they're just a lot cheaper in Virginia than they are in really any other state. According to dmv.virginia.gov, personalized plates cost just $10 a year in addition to the vehicle registration and special plate fees. But I think the story goes deeper than that. So we're going to take a walk down memory lane and examine the history of Virginia, spanning from pre-Revolutionary War to modern day, split up into 5 parts, to better understand how it all relates to license plates. Somehow. So leading up to and during the Revolutionary War, Virginia was kind of like America's golden child. She was where the first 13 colonies started, and also was where most of the action took place during the war. To give you an example, Virginia literally ended the war. Remember the Hamilton song, The Battle of Yorktown? That's Yorktown, Virginia. The special positioning of Yorktown on a port allowed Washington, along with major help from one Marquis de Lafayette and the French army, to surround General Cornwallis and to gain America's independence. And along with that, many important people have come from Virginia. Just look at the most prominent figure in American history, George Washington. He was born in Virginia, and he is like the most rebellious person. He was so rebellious, he made the most powerful country in the world just to spite British people. Patrick Henry, a founding father, but more recognizable as the guy who said, "Give me liberty or give me death," was also a Virginian. And you don't get much more rebellious than that. And lastly, Virginia was also the home state of the man, the myth, the obnoxious prick, Thomas Jefferson, aka the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence. So I guess he did one thing right. But on top of all of that, Virginia was basically the place where the American government was formed. Most discussions regarding the making of the legal and governmental systems happened in Virginia, and regarding the development of an entire nation, Virginia was the place to be back then. But all good things must come to an end. And after the Revolutionary War, America set its sights on the West, expanding as far as they could, and taking eminent domaining all of their land. Of course, America was going to expand westward. Virginia could have been doing a lot better, partly because of the overused soil in Virginia. Tobacco, one of Virginia's biggest exports, takes up a lot of resources from the soil, namely minerals like potassium and nitrogen. Other plants needed these nutrients to grow properly, and Virginia's land didn't have them. And speaking of crops, Virginia's main thing was its agriculture and farming community. But as America grew and expanded, more and more factories began to pop up in the north, essentially creating a rift between the north and the south. The north had their new age factories, but the south kept using their plantations and slaves, and refused to change with the times. And so when Virginia caught wind of South Carolina seceding from the Union to form the Confederacy, she knew she had to get in on it. Her and other southern states were being neglected and forgotten as more progressive and hip states took the spotlight. And something that I find really funny about the situation is that Virginia only joined the Confederacy specifically after then President Abraham Lincoln called all states to subdue South Carolina. This is basically how that interaction went. Yo, South Carolina's kind of being a bitch right now. Can you go subdue her? You don't get to tell me what I can and can't do. What if I join the Confederacy? Yeah, please don't do that. You really shouldn't be able to own people, like, at all. No, you can't tell me what to do. Plus, if I let all these people go, I would have no one to tend my farms. I think someone's autonomy trumps all land issues you would have, like freedom, like America. No, you can't tell me what to do. But Virginia's plan had worked, and she was back in the spotlight now. although for a different reason. It's the next day now, you can tell because the microphone's on its stand now and I have a different shirt and my hair is not wet anymore. It's all fucked up. Upon joining the Confederacy, the other states realized that she had more resources than the rest of them combined. And because of her strategic positioning, Richmond, Virginia became the capital of the Confederacy. And so, bing bop boom 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 bop bam, the Civil War took Virginia from being slightly neglected to downright hated by the rest of the Union. As a state, Virginia had taken a major blow, and as Reconstruction started, America employed military rule over Virginia, basically just watching over her back as she rebuilt her government. But this didn't go perfectly. After Lincoln's assassination and under Andrew Jackson's presidency, the government was sympathetic towards Confederate generals and fairly lenient regarding rules about former slaves. But even with the leniency from Jackson, Virginia was still bitter and stubborn about losing the Civil War. But like most teens, Virginia's logic didn't make any sense. She had fought long and hard for America's freedom as a country, but after that, she refused for others to be free with her, her only reason being that, they don't look like me, so, they shouldn't have rights. Even after losing a war, Virginia refused to change her point of view, but over time, she kind of had to. Of course, nowadays, Virginia's population isn't entirely made up of racists who think slavery should be legal, but the mentality of the state has stayed the same. People like to express themselves here, conservative or liberal, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, at this point, you may be asking, what the hell does this have to do with license plates? And that's a pretty valid question. See, because of the attention that Virginia had been getting, she grew a pretty big ego, and when that was entirely stripped from her, she went on a rebellious teen arc. She felt that America taking her slaves was not only unrighteous, but in effect, was spitting in her face and controlling her. And if there's one thing Virginians, hell, Americans don't like, it's being controlled. Virginia's really always been like this. She's expressive and holds to her beliefs. And so when custom license plates were $10 a year to have, what did you think was going to happen?